Hey, welcome to Create or Die. This is your host, Ike Allred, and we did it. Episode 19. And as you can hear, we've brought it in with another level of class and sophistication. We've got us some custom music produced by my main man, Mr. Tom Cattell. Check out the description for his SoundCloud link. There you'll find more of his amazing beats. He's been bringing it for, 20 plus years. He's been working on his beats, and it shows. I really dig it and appreciate him for contributing to the Create or Die podcast with those sweet beats. Now today, we're bringing back a guest from an earlier episode, Mr. Bryce Nobles. Last time he talked to us about growth and how important that is. And this time he doesn't disappoint. No sir. He talks to us about what it's like from a stakeholder perspective working with creatives, and how you as a creative can take whatever it is you do and put metrics to it, so that metric loving boss of yours will be happy and you'll be able to prove your worth. And speaking of your worth, we also dive into the top 3 things that Mr. Bryce Nobles recommends for you and me on how we can build our personal brand. So important in this day of uncertainty. Layoffs abound. It's crazy. You got to stand out, and you got to express to your current employer or future employers what it is you're putting down, so that they might pick it up. That's right. Well, without any further ado, let's get into this. Let's go.
Here we go. So Bryce, you're back. Part 2. Thank you.
Back in the hot seat. Happy to be here, Ike.
Yeah. No, so, no surprise. Your last episode that you're on is our number 1 episode still.
That's an honor.
People like whatever it is you're putting down.
You had your work cut out for yourself to edit all that, to make me look good and stuff, but cut out all of my stuttering and uhs and stuff, but you did good.
No, not at all.
Made you work hard for that one.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
How's the podcast been? Sorry if I posed the question to you, but you've a couple more episodes in. What's that story been like with this?
Yeah, so it's, we continue to get tens and tens of views, as I like to say. Since our last episode, we've started doing video recordings, and
cool.
And the YouTube views are starting to inch up higher than the audio.
Have you tried the shorts yet? The YouTube shorts?
I have, not for the podcast, but
because that's been again, I do a little bit for my wife. Just whatever you do on Instagram, throw it up on YouTube Shorts. Yeah. And YouTube is a killer channel for a lot of content creators right now. Even for like monetizing things, like they do a lot better on YouTube than other channels. So maybe give that a go.
No,
find a good cut and throw that special on there. So
okay, another knowledge nug being dropped here for all of you out there looking to improve your social game.
Create or die.
Create or die. That's what we say. So today, we're just gonna riff. We're gonna maybe hit a few different subjects and get your thoughts. Now I know one subject that is near and dear to both of our hearts is the relationship between designer and stakeholder.
Or person assigned by the stakeholder to go do it.
There you go. Is that what it is? So tell me a little bit more about what your experience has been in general, and if you have any learnings that you'd like to share.
Let's start with how we first met.
Okay.
Our first story.
That works.
Our first story together, right?
Yeah.
I met Ike. I'm pretty sure I met you. It was when I was interviewing at MX.
Yep.
right? So, but I wasn't wearing the shirt and tie. I was wearing a nice button up, which, hey, for me, that's pretty dressy.
That's the right move for this industry.
Blue checkers and then khakis. It was good. I remember that. I still got that shirt too. It's my interview shirt. I haven't worn it since. So.
Nice.
Knock on wood. But for interviews, as we know with startups, you have like the 8 rounds of interviews, right?
Yeah.
And our company at the time they just got the Series B, so 200 employees. It's got a massive valuation, massive funding, valuation, all that stuff. So I was like, of course I'm interested in this company. It's great.
Yeah.
But then, so I had someone knew me that got me through a lot of the recruiters and the bars and stuff. But I ended up doing the first interview, and the next interview was the interdepartmental interview, right? Yeah. And being on marketing, you're working with other marketers, right? Believe that or not, weird, right? What a concept!
Surprise, yeah.
And I saw that this was the head of creative and someone on the team, Lisa. She's awesome. Shout out to Lisa. But I was like, I'm going to be interviewing with a creative director. I'm like, I've worked with creative directors in my past role, right? But that's back then I was in more of a sales role, and that's how can hey, this is the biggest deal in the company history, trying to like flex the deal to get them to do something, right?
Yeah, I know that.
What do you hear when you hear that one? You're just like, oh, sure it is. Get in line, right? Yeah. It's weird how many, like, if you want to know how good the company's doing, ask the creative director of like where all the biggest deals in the companies are, because all the reps are going straight to you, right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That's just the hype that we say. So I was familiar with the do's and don'ts because my last company had a really great creative team. The team was very similar to your story. Was like they were their own company, and a company came in and bought them out basically and said, "Hey, you're working for us now."
Yeah.
Right. So, and then throughout my 5 years of my last company, I kind of got a feel for the do's and don'ts and how to get in with them, and you got to be human with them, right? Mm-hmm. That way. But I remember sitting down in the interview, and I was like, okay, I never really thought of a creative person being on my team.
Yeah.
Before. It was always like, oh, that's just a resource we have, kind of like an outsourced resource. But
sure.
like, how can I use them strategically as I'm interviewing, right, to get to know, like, and I asked you, it was like, hey, those very same questions, like, do you get overloaded by sales reps or do you have your own say, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time, you were a little bit burned by the sales team, to be honest, right?
No, you're right. We didn't have a dedicated sales designer like we do now, and the processes, the gatekeepers weren't in place, if you will. So yeah,
but I just remember in that interview hearing from Ike just your style of I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm Ike, but I'm going to get it done in a sense, right? And that was really cool to get cross-departmental interviews or even within your own team interviews within your department, right? It's so important to get the sense of culture out of this, because there's a lot of builders and there's very few connectors, and I feel like my role is more of a connector than a builder.
Okay.
There's a fun analogy, I think I mentioned this last time with the cat, but it's just like I try to connect dots and put resources together instead of trying to build something on my own, because someone's already building it at my company. If you have 200 employees, even if you have like 10 employees, right, chances are a lot of parallel initiatives, and you try to connect them that way. So just getting a good sense of that way. And for me, I just remember, if I wanted to ace that interview, I was like, well, I want to be a team player with this, right? It was just saying, I remember you asked me the question of like, how do you work with the creative team, and how do you do this and this and this? Like, it's so important. Like, I remember you mentioned the last podcast that you did that people submit. You have like an ideal way for people to submit projects, and then you have what they actually submit.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna, just play by the rules at first, right? And then as you kind of know what they're looking for, then you can cut corners, but play by the rules first. And I think that with our first couple of projects out of the gates, one of our first projects was like we had a fintech festival coming up. It was like a 70-person high stakeholder event. And like it was like maybe 2 months away, so it was like I was already like inheriting like this crazy project. I was like, I need creative on this to create some content that way. And I think step one is just you ask what you need. What are the inputs to get the outputs?
Yeah.
Step one, right? And then step two, it's on me to manage the expectations of I need to go turn my budget into dollars, and I need to go turn that or my budget into opportunities, the sales pipeline, right? and that goes into revenue, right? Creative teams don't really see that a whole lot of what their deliverables turn into, right? That's really on me to not only go and take that asset that the creative goes and go to market, but I should also throw a bone back to the creative team and say, hey, like this sourced this much pipeline. You played a role. Again, everything's a piece of the pie here, right? There's no singular thing, that there's the touch point that you have with creative, then you have the human interaction point, then you bring in the 50 other people at your company to go, like any sales deal takes an army, takes a tribe, right? But if your creative team takes a piece of that, you got to show them that love back, right? Not just on the shout out, but like show them the attribution of like, hey, like this is a $3 million deal that actually closed, right? And you played a role on it here, and here, right? That's cool. Like, how often do you hear that? Probably not enough.
Yeah, not enough for sure. And I've appreciated those times when we've worked together and we've gotten that, because that is, not only a good shout out or a good feel good to the individual creative who worked on it, but it's a metric that we can use. Is right now at the company we're going through our compensation reviews, and so it's just another little proof point or metric that those individual designers can say, hey, I contributed in this, and that was a big thing this past quarter.
Yeah, I think one that's been fun too, we've been really focusing on brand, right? How do you measure brand impact and brand penetration and stuff? And we recently did a little holiday mailer. It's kind of a fun project. I can probably put a background image behind this or something on it, making me work hard for this, right?
Yeah.
But it was cool to see like the people that received it, the recipients, they were posting on social, right? And I don't think you saw that, but I knew them, so I was connected with them. So for me as a stakeholder, it's just, again, good hygiene, good acumen to, hey, like they're taking good. That one guy made, like, it was like a honey kit, and he made like these awesome looking waffles.
Right.
They look so good.
Chicken and waffles.
And he like did his own little creative take on it and had our branding on there. And like that makes our branding looks cool, right?
Yeah.
Again, we're not in the honeycomb business, but we are in the ecosystem business. But then I share that over back to Ike and to Mark and some of the folks I worked on, and said, hey, like you played a role in this, right? Or you tag them on it. Helps impressions, helps expand the brand that way, and that's lasting effects. So I think it's on us to bring it back. And how do you feel like with, have you ever asked for it, and does that fall on deaf ears, or is it really just like we need to get more people aware on getting that ROI stuff back to creative? Like whose role is that to take initiative on?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's something that me as a creative leader would love to know more about, and I'm usually like to be hands-on and would love to jump into Marketo or whatever the right tool is to figure out that attribution. But that's my personality. But in the end, with the team that we have currently here at MX, we do have people that are experts in those areas, and I think of head of demand gen could be a good resource, and we not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but certainly asked for some of that stuff in the past, and have gotten it here and there, but having it be more consistent would be wonderful. Is there a way to pull that out and deliver that?
Again, if your marketing team has the good plumbing in it, which again, earlier startup or scrappier, they might not have it, but if you have a marketing automation tool like Marketo, or even like a Salesforce, a CRM, whatever, right? You probably have if you have a marketing ops person in your company, right? We have an awesome one. Shout out to Amanda, you're awesome. You save our life on a daily basis, right? Everything is campaign based, so I can look at campaigns, and then attribution comes in from that. And a lot of times attribution you think of like in a snapshot of like, okay, this event happened on January 15th, right? That's stopped right there. No, because you want people to go to your events, and you want to do like a 30, 60, 90-day snapshot to see what growth happened, right? So we had maybe 5 million attended this marketing campaign, right? Yeah. At that moment, but that grew into 15 million. There was one campaign I did. It was an event in New York that we thought was a flop, right? It was like very low attribution day of. But that was just a whole bunch of people that had no existing conversations that grew into like 8 or 9 different sales opportunities. So that went from like 300K attribution to about 6 million attribution by the 90-day marker, right? So that's just for all you creative folks there. don't just take the initial day attribution. 30, 60, 90-day cuts of it is super important. And they can look at those campaigns just like how you have your, like for us, we do ROI tasks, right? No secret sauce there, right? You have your task in there. What if you just assign that task to the campaign?
Yeah.
Right? And then that campaign, that task attributions in the campaign, and you can see all the tasks that sometimes there's multiple tasks in there. This event took a lot of, you think of like a conference event, right? That takes a lot of tasks in there, right? And you put it all in that campaign, or you have your own tracking of like, hey, this is the campaign that we're tracking attribution for all this effort. And like, this one had a lot of our full team for months working on it because it was our biggest event of the year, right? Does that make sense?
No, I like that. And then on that kind of train of thought as far as tasks are concerned, we have the creative task, the actual building of the asset and delivering it, getting it printed or whatever. But maybe it would make sense to create tasks, for the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day attributions and assign that to that ops person who all they have to do is jump into that tool and say, this is what it is.
Right? Yeah, have like a once a month or kind of, I always like to say, like if you run off quarters, right, that the start of the third month of the quarter, so the last month of the quarter, that's when you want to start doing the attribution stuff because it's going to take you a month to do it. And then when you don't want to do it is like the week of the performance reviews because everyone's scrambling for stuff.
Totally.
If you know how to, jump in and scramble before, you can do that. But I would start the month before, have that conversation because a lot of times, especially on the creative side, it's not established. You're going to have to, get some stuff created there a little bit. You want to give your ops person some time there. So
totally.
If the ops person doesn't know what campaign it is, that stakeholder, either them or someone on their team, probably below them, would probably know what attribution that would go across.
Yeah.
Right. I hit this campaign, right, and it's good to know of like, and just the one caution I would say it's like. No, like you'll take a little time, but like figure out what piece of the pie you did. So like if you're designing a holiday mailer, that's a huge part on you, right, to design that. But if you're doing like I don't know, I'm trying to think of like taking like you're updating the screen when it's an on-site to have it be the logos, right? That's still a good branding point, but you're not the overwhelming tilting of the needle there. You're just a nice garnish.
Yep.
So know what's the garnish, what's the staple, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. So
do you feel like you can gauge that pretty well, or is that from a creative perspective, or is that do you need?
Yeah, no, I think this has been valuable for me as a creative, and hopefully our listeners out there to just kind of the step by step. I think we've come up with maybe something worth trying out, like the idea of getting the ops person involved, giving them plenty of time, maybe creating tasks, doing it that beginning of the last month of the quarter. I think that's all good advice, and I'm gonna commit to go and do that.
When you get it all done, let's talk about it again. That'd be awesome. So the cool thing about the campaign data, again, if your company's there, it's all retroactive, so you can pull it up anytime. Right, and connect. So maybe just don't try to do like the last 2 years. Let's just start with last month, right? Or again, 30, 60, 90. What's something we did 90 days ago, 60 days ago, right? And there's a little more time to let that touch that campaign mature a little bit. Yeah. And then you can actually, and depending on your sales cycles, we're a B2B to C company, business to business to customer. So our sales cycles are a lot longer than a transactional company. So we do need a 90-day tailwind before we see the true attribution. But if your sales team's closing deals like monthly, right, you can probably get a better snapshot quicker. So that's another tip, is just know your sales cycle length, and just ask anyone on your sales team and the marketing team. Generally, they'll probably know that length of sales cycle. And that can kind of help you with the check-ins on attribution. Yeah,
no, that's great to know. And then I always think about this. One of our values here at MX is iterative innovation. And so when we have that kind of initial baseline metric, and then we go and do another mailer, or 2 or 3 mailers down the road, and we can start to see patterns. This one performed better than that one, and hopefully identify what was different about this one that performed better, got better open rate or response. Do you have any thoughts around how we could glean some info there?
Personally, for me, I like I said in the last one I was on, is I don't really have a title, but I have metrics that I own.
Yeah.
I define what I do by my metrics, right? It's my love language. So like, don't tell me your title, tell me your metrics that way. And so what metrics do you want to influence, right? Lay them all out. So a lot of times you need to get a baseline, right? Of like, okay, we sent it to this. Like, let's say we take the mailer one. Mailer's a great channel for creatives to get involved into. A lot of great ROI there.
Yeah.
So what was the, things that you can control? There's a lot of variables you can't control. Like, you're probably not clicking the addresses, right?
Sure.
Some creatives, if you're a scrappy team, you might be doing a little bit more or less or whatever, right? Yeah. So do they get delivered to the right place, right? And then for those that got delivered, what was the conversion rate to the conversion rate, meaning the call to action you had? Yeah. Usually when you're designing something, there's some form of call to action input in there. Right. Desired behavior, right? What behavior are we influencing or marketing to them, right? What was that conversion rate? And that's what you're going to try to do. And that'd be interesting on a creative standpoint of how can you improve the conversion rate to the call to action through aesthetic and design.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, that's something to think about.
Yeah. Cool. And it takes a little bit more legwork, but maybe of those who did convert and maybe went as far as to make a post on LinkedIn to talk about how cool it was, reach out and say, what was it about that, if they didn't say it in their post, that, got you to go to that website or scan that QR code. And
that's an amazing comment there. Yeah. Like, I would say if it's like they're posting freely on social, I think you have a pretty good green light to say, thanks for touting out my piece of content, right? At the branding piece or a swag piece or whatever, right? Or they really, wow, this is a great website, whatever, right? Like, thank them for that, and just ask them what you like, what you didn't like, and maybe on the flip side, you always get the negative stuff every once in a while too.
Sure.
And you're like, wow, that was a miss or whatever, right? You want to be careful. Maybe check with like your communications team, your comms team. On that. You get touch and go. Like, if you keep it pretty low level, hey, I'm non-threatening creative guy, that's fine, but you never want to like open a can of worms and open a fire for your sales team or your client success team or your PR team, right? It does happen when people, you get a CEO will they can be very aggressive on things and you'd be caught out of water really quick. So we'll caution there. But just put up some easy guardrails. Like, hey, thanks for sharing. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't like that. Just curious, just so I can learn, right? Yeah. Give yourself a safe environment there of like just personally reaching out, not on behalf of my company, right? Right. Or if you get more bullish, then you can, right? Yeah. But just communicate with your team on what you're doing sometimes. Yep.
Well, we're all about mistakes of boldness. At least we were at one point here. But yeah, no, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be smart and cognizant of others that
so another challenge I give you is reach out to the guy that posted that waffle picture and just be like, hey, what'd you like, what you didn't like? I think you got free reign on that, and he's a friendly, so you'll actually be out in the summit, so you can probably say, hey, love to chat for 2 minutes. So
good call, appreciate it. Awesome. So this has been super valuable already, and as someone who is greedy to get more knowledge from you, you talk about being a growth guy. Yeah. And I know a big part of what you do for yourself and even for others is talk about how to improve their personal brand and to grow. And maybe this isn't the best segue, but I would love to just get some maybe top 3 nuggets that you would like to maybe share to a creative, if you have insight on that, or just someone in general, of what are the top 3 things, if they haven't done anything, they could go and do and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I would say like the first thing is mindset. I would say my mom was actually in town. She flew into Tampa last week, and our lifestyle is very unconventional, right? Mm-hmm. And she's just like, hey, you chose your hard. Life's hard either way. Choose your hard and just enjoy it, right? So choose your hard, right? You should always, part of being a growth advocate, you need to be in a growth mindset and a growth stage. Growth is painful. Growth is hard. Very little growth happens when it's like seamless,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, man, like you said, make mistakes, but boldness, right? Don't be reckless.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of step one is that. Step two is support other people that are trying to level up. If you're the tens and tens listening to this podcast, give it a like. That's the best way you can support somebody. Just, you don't have to give them any money. You're already giving them your time on this. It's just press that button here, right? Press that share, right? And then, plug the Ike on this, right? But as well as just like see those people that are trying to go for it and support them because they're getting so much backlash from the naysayers, which are vocal all the time, right? So support other people. And then the last thing to build your brand is just whatever channel or distribution thing you have, just tout out your message, right? I like to say just write daily, post something on LinkedIn for once a day during the business week for a month, right? And then you can stop after this, right? But just like try to write daily that way and post daily, and don't worry about the niche or the audience. Just post what you generally want to talk about. And then, like we mentioned, you'll see the people that are engaging your content. Say, hey, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it, right? So you can't improve your brand if you don't have a brand. So just start with a brand somewhere. You don't need to have cool hat swag stores. CRE8.io, right?
CRE8.net.
.net, sorry. Plug. You can go that far, which is great. But like, just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Then you can measure it.
Yeah.
But you can't measure it if you don't start it. So just start ugly. That's fine. You have like a huge grace window. So those are my 3 things. Is just like growth mindset. All right, I forgot the second one, but then it's just start going. So,
no, I love it. Appreciate that. And you hit on some good points there around consistency and just be, you didn't say this, but I think it was implied, is like be genuine. It's not about like trying to become something that you're not.
Yeah, I would define genuine in 3 terms, like intentional, authentic, and there's abundance.
Yeah. Abundance
is a cool word, right? You don't have to feel bad for touting out what you're doing. Now that goes back to intentional and authenticity, right? But abundance, I think, goes into that a lot of there's as much as there's so much in the world, so much creative content or consultants or all this stuff, like we don't need to live in a shortage mindset. We live in an abundance mindset, especially with creating. Creating is abundance, right?
Yeah.
That's a trip I think I can do on a podcast on your own, right? But like I would say abundance is a huge word when you're talking about that stuff.
And that goes along with your second point that we both forgot for a minute there about supporting others who are doing it, who are is that because there's karma in that, and what you do will come back to you? Probably. But then there's also, like you said, it's an infinitely sized pie. There's abundance. And so by lifting someone else up, you're not trading maybe some of your potential.
Yeah, I'm not saying being that I am consistent with my messaging, that I do try to put my message out on different channels a lot. You will always have more people engaging silently with your content than you'll ever realize.
Yeah.
Right? And random people, hey, I love what you're doing on this, or love what you're doing on this, right? They're silent though. And that's fine. When you start having people come up to you like, hey, I'm listening to that, that's when you need to start asking your audience, like, hey, like this more, hey, try to share this out more, right? Yeah. But you'll always have, and it's not about the likes and follows, but at the same time, if you get to that next level, it kind of is to some point. But know that you'll have, even if you influence one person, right, that's amazing, right? But there's always going to be more than you see that people you have impact on. And for me, that's important to have impact on people, not to put myself above them, but it's more in the rock climbing, you're trying to help someone up because so many people have helped me to get to this point. The least I can do is pay it forward and help other people and reach down the mountain and pull them up, right?
Love it. Whew, it's been a good one.
Yeah, hopefully your audience doesn't get sick of me or anything like that. But it's been always great chatting. I love the creative profession.
Yeah.
Right? Especially like in B2B and like business and startup world and stuff, because it's fast paced, timelines, like money driven, but at the same time there's that creative side, and you have to balance that, like Mark Twain, sorry I didn't have time to make this short, right? I thought you were just dealing with that. So I love this profession, and it's so vital, it's so underrated or underappreciated in my opinion. So keep fighting on that good fight.
Yeah, appreciate that. And just to close things out, I know you've got a book coming out that you're probably not quite ready to share details on, but is it?
Yeah,
okay.
It's coming. We are in final revisions.
Awesome.
Designing a book cover. That is the most stressful part of the whole thing. Like naming it, that was hard, but the book design, man. So you've been really helpful with that. But
just very little help.
But yeah, the book's coming out. I'll definitely get a plug in there when it's time, but it's not time yet.
Okay.
Cool. But appreciate it, Ike.
Yeah. Anything else? Remind us where we can find you.
I would say one thing that I'm going to be starting up again is I have a newsletter on LinkedIn. It's called Find Your Authentic Potential. Yeah. It's about my wife and I, my story as we go travel the world this year. Last year we went 10 different weeks internationally. We traveled over 30 weeks of the year all around. This year we're not going to do as much international, but we're going to do, stops in at least 11 different states. Love to meet you all, the tens and tens of followers out there. Right? Love to meet you all that way. But my wife, she plays volleyball professionally, for those that don't know, and we try to enable that lifestyle. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, lots of good info in that newsletter. I'm a subscriber, and definitely recommend looking up my boy Bryce Nobles over here, and give him a follow and subscribe to that newsletter. Thanks again, Bryce.
Thanks, Ike. We'll see ya.
Woo. What did I tell you? It was a good one, right? Am I right? Yeah. That may be one you want to listen to again. So bookmark this and give it another listen. Or take notes, even. Those notes, they can be good, because knowledge nugs abound. And remember, if you're looking for a way to help out this little program, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who will listen that there's a new podcast in town, and it's for real. Okay? And then, feel free to head on over to createordie.net and see if there's something that you might want to pick up to show your support. Those are a few ways you can help this little program. And just want to say thank you for sticking around, joining us. And until next time, keep on creating. Create or die.